It's the recap for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. I'm Daniel Montoya Jr. for General Effect Media. Depending on how you define when the week begins or the week ends, Pacific Crest either ended week 1 with their announcement or began week 2 with their announcement featuring 2 new additions to their 2025 design team. And as usual, here at the recap, we're going to get a little bit into both of them, what they bring to Pacific Crest and what they are inheriting at Pacific Crest. But before we get to all of that, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the General Effect Media YouTube page, and click that notification bell so you know when we release a new episode of the recap or any other episode of any other show here on the GEM YouTube channel. And if it so moves you, leave a comment in the comment section down below and share this video. All of this helps the algorithm, helps the AdSense, and lets us know that you are engaged and like the content that we are producing for you here at General Effect Media on YouTube. Now, as I mentioned, there are 2 new faces to the 2025 design team, one on music and one on visual. First up, let's focus on music. Out of Rancho Cucamonga, California, we have Frankie Rice, who's a music educator and designer, graduating with an associate's degree in percussion performance from that hallowed ground that is RCC, Riverside Community College, and then a bachelor's degree in percussion performance from Cal State University, Long Beach. Now, Frankie was most recently the front ensemble composer, arranger, and sound designer for Gold Drum and Bugle Corps 23 and this summer 2024. Gold has been on the come up, especially after the pandemic, after COVID-19 kind of warped 2 years of DCI, and 2023 was a really good year. And look, there's a lot of fun stuff going on in the state of California, and Pacific Crest is definitely benefiting from all of that, from the performers, from the staff, and in this case, the designers and the other designers that are West Coast and really contributing to what Pacific Crest has been able to do before the pandemic and what they're able to do after the pandemic. Now, if you remember Pacific Crest, I believe we ended 2019 on a really high point for Pacific Crest, maybe the highest they had placed and maybe the highest they had scored. I want to say as high as 14th, maybe 13th, but I feel better saying maybe they ended 2019 in 14th. Definitely knocking on the door for people to predict in 2020 that possibly Pacific Crest was going to break into finals. We remember what happened in 2020. We remember what happened in 21. So 2022 was a return to competitiveness for all drum corps, including Pacific Crest. And while the year didn't finish up the way they had hoped, this past summer, 2024, did end up a lot better for Pacific Crest, not only in the way they overall finished, but how some of their captions finished, some placing in finals above some finalist drum corps. But let's get back to who else is coming to the Pacific Crest, and that's Lindsey Schueller. And that name should sound familiar because Lindsey is a well-known, established visual designer, drill writer for the marching bands and the drum corps and the indoor drum lines. Now, Lindsey has performed with the Genesis Percussion, Rhythm X, Blue Stars, Blue Coats, and Carolina Crown. She hails out of the Mitten State, Michigan. And Lindsey was the drill designer for Troopers from 2022 to this summer, 2024. She also designed for the Battalion this summer, which was 2024. And most notably, her longest stint previous was 2014 to 2022 with the Legends Drum and Bugle Corps out of the great state of Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, this shirt is white with a little bit of navy blue or gem blue graphic ink on it. I don't know what this has to do with the state of Michigan, possibly the blue. You could say this goes for blue and maize, though if you were rooting for the blue and maize, you're probably feeling a little blue this weekend. But regardless, you can support General Effect Media by buying this shirt and just say like, oh, this is blue because of my tears and my sadness. But I love marching arts and pageantry and media. General Effect Media, we have this shirt and other shirts on our store, which you can see down below, but you can also see different links for all that. This is another sample of things that didn't quite work, but the version that you would get would be much better, much higher quality, much better designed. You know, sometimes we just try some samples out, see what they look like, and well, we wouldn't know that this didn't work until we got it in hand and saw it and goes, that's not going to work. So if you would like to support General Effect Media, the General Effect store, General Effect the brand, please visit our General Effect store down below. But if you're the type that just wants to give away money and you're feeling charitable, Ko-fi, ko-fi.com. Feel free to donate as little as you like, as much as you'd like. Along with the store, all donations after administrative fees, all the profits will go to our content creators. So that's a way of supporting all of our volunteers as they create videos, as they write articles, as they're on site covering events. We would all really appreciate it. GEM the store and GEM the charity. As I mentioned, in 2019, the Pacific Crest finished the competitive season on Friday in semifinals in 14th place. After a drop in 2022 to 19th place, the Corps moved up to 14th place in 2023, and this past summer finished overall in 13th place, one spot out of finals. Now, if we look at the rankings of their captions and sub-captions, we can see that the Pacific Crest scored 13th place in GE, with the Madison Scouts being in 11th and the Cavaliers finishing in 12th. Now, they did hire Lindsey for visual design purposes. That does go into visual performance. Somehow it's related. You have to ask a real visual judge about all that. But the Pacific Crest, 15th place in visual performance. So definitely a weakness. In fact, 15th is the lowest caption that the Corps finished in, but it's not the only one that they finished in 15th. We go to visual analysis, which was basically how are you marching? How are you doing everything visually? 13th place. So right on par with where the Corps was finishing. This one not so much in the hands of the visual designer, but still you got to set them up for success. You got to put them in the right place, right position, right choreography, all that stuff. So that definitely comes into play. 10th place for color guard. 10th place for color guard over, well, at least 2 finalist drum corps. So good for them. Not really so much a responsibility of the visual designer. You got to give them the right dots. You got to create the space. You got to put them in the right place. So there is some involvement of there. When you put it all together, overall visual, they did finish in 13th with the Madison Scouts in 10th, the Cavaliers in 11th, and the Troopers in 12th. So it is important to say that Lindsey was the visual designer for the Troopers, who finished in 12th overall, right over Pacific Crest, who finished in 13th. So many things go into play, so you can't say one person is responsible or gets all the credit or all of the blame, because you can just look at the color guard score for the Troopers to see why overall visual was so low or so much lower for the Troopers in semifinals when the Pacific Crest competed still. So it's not entirely the visual designer's fault. Also not entirely the kudos to the visual designer on that. Color guard does play into that. The actual analysis, the marching, the performance falls into that as well. Then we go to 14th place for brass, 13th place for music analysis, 15th place for percussion, but 13th place overall in music, with the Madison Scouts finishing 12th. Not so much the visual designer's responsibilities, but again, if you don't put them in great listening environments, you don't set them up for success, well, then you don't get high scores. So no matter how good they are, sometimes the designers don't put people in the right position to succeed musically, visually, color guardily, choreographically, etc. So taking a look at the Pacific Crest going into 2025, they are well primed for a legit chase to get into finals next year. It's not as simple as saying all we have to do is take out the Madison Scouts, because if you look at the Madison Scouts, they were placing in 10th and 11th in some of their captions. So in actuality, if we go off of the 10th, 11th, 12th, the Pacific Crest are looking to not only hold off those in 14, 15, 16, 17, etc., but they're looking to compete in captions over the Madison Scouts, the Cavaliers, and the Troopers. And it's been done. The Pacific Crest placed 10th in color guard. They were able to place over a few finalist drum corps in one caption. So it shows you that they can do it. You know, right now, the general effect are pretty much 14, 13, 13, 13. So it's right around where they're at. And 2 judges are music based and 2 are visual based or leaning, but it's supposed to be overall general effect. Yes, visual design definitely plays into all of that. And some could say, I will say that I believe visual GE carries over music GE. I think people hear with their eyes more than they see with their ears, if that makes sense. Basically, I think you could succeed with a very clear-cut, in-the-box music book for brass and percussion, but I think you need to really give it to people visually. And so I think that if you're looking for, well, where can we improve upon in general effects scores or whatever, I think you get more bang for your buck in the visual department. That's just me. Someone could offer their opinion in the comment section down below, but I think you get more bang for visual GE than you do music general effect. And I say that as a bitter composer and arranger who wants to get more credit for all the cool things I do with music that nobody gets but me. Because I'm the smartest guy in the room. That's what I tell myself, though. So yes, going to be a fun and exciting year for the Pacific Crest. Fun, exciting year for the 10 through 15 drum corps. Again, hopefully there's a whole lot of this, especially because we have to assume that some other drum corps that may or may not have had the year that they wanted will be making some changes to their educational teams and design teams. And one could look at vague Facebook posts from designers of certain drum corps as a clue that maybe things are changing or things have changed. So we still have a lot to cover, a lot of things that will come out regarding potential free agency changes in DCI, not just for the bottom 6 in the top 12 or those fighting to make finals, but we've already mentioned the Carolina Crown. They made a change in percussion. Do the Blue Devils make a change? We know Boston won't because they announced everybody's coming back. Do we see changes in the Bluecoats? They've just won. They've just set standards and been innovative and unique. Will things change? I don't know. All we need to say is that change is everything, and it would be against the philosophy of the Bluecoats this year to not make changes. So let's see this everything that changes Bluecoats. I have no idea if anything will change, but as a whole, DCI is going to be changing. It changes year to year. It's really just a resetting of pieces. The chessboard oftentimes stays the same. 95% of the chess pieces are always the same. They're just pushed around a little bit. Then sometimes they put a new chess piece and go, we don't really like that one. Go back to open class, or go back to marching band, or great, you're in. So chess pieces, they change, but it's really just like a fresh coat of paint. So all right, that's the recap for today. If you really want to read some more of our kind of stuff, please subscribe to our Substack. That's how we started. You can get some really nerdy stuff about band. If you really want to see photos and videos and stories, make sure you subscribe to our Instagram page, because I think the cool kids are going to be running that, and it's going to be picking up steam now that we have had our first competitive marching band weekend, and it's only going to get more busy as we get into this next weekend. And stay tuned to General Effect Media for future episodes of the recap and other hard-hitting, fun, opinionated editorials, news, headlines, updates, etc. All that stuff. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you follow us at General Effect Media.